Why they don't want to identify this? Why they don't want you into the Old Testament, brothers and sisters, identifying yourself? Why it doesn't matter? Because if you come back to your God and understand who you are, they can no longer dictate. That's why. We'll let them know, listen, you have no business being over anything trying to tell us what's right and wrong according to our God. According to our God. So we're not dealing with it anymore. And I was respectful with the brother. Everyone can see that. I let him speak, even bringing false doctrine. I didn't mind because he's writing all the points down and we'll deal with each point accordingly. I didn't need to disrupt him for that. But what we were bringing forth was actually rocking and disturbing his whole doctrine. Why? Because he can't refute us like he with the Baptist minister who learned under the theologian seminary colleges that was set up to destroy.
Very easy. Very easy. Very easy to refute you. And I don't have to do it by playing the race card, and I don't have to do it by starting to disrespect you by using your name in a disrespectful way. I came on as Johnny because I didn't want to be elevated. So it was very easy. You never did answer the registry. Nehemiah chapter 7, why didn't you answer that? Verse 63 and 64, you said never. And there it is in the King James.
Answer that?
You didn't answer it.
Like I said earlier, for all you brothers and sisters who was listening, it tell you that we would discontinue from our heritage, and the Gentiles who scattered us and destroyed us separated us from our registry. So there was no way that we can go back and say, well, yes, our forefathers were here. But through prophecy and also through history, and I have many history books on the diaspora after 70 A.D., we can prove that the slaves that came over to the shores in the ships, all the children of Israel, we can prove that the people in North, Central, and South America that were destroyed by the Romans and were taught the bastard Christianity by the Roman Catholic Church, we can prove to you that those people are the children of Israel and that the Most High will tear down the middle partition between those.
Okay, and the way you prove that is by books written by the Roman Catholic Church, because you don't have any books that were written by your race, so you're actually relying on a whole other people that you oppose, and you're saying that we're supposed to trust their historical records. Now, answer that.
Do you know that? So what are you talking about? We're not going through it with no Roman Catholic Church. We're telling you according to...
Where are you going to get your history? Where are you going to get your history then?
You want me to show you, sir?
I need you to call out the book because you just said you had all kinds of histories. Call out the book.
Out the book, brother. From Babylon to Timbuktu by Rudolph R. Windsor.
Oh, so now that's a modern book that just has been written. Now, we're supposed to listen to that, but we don't listen to Joseph Smith's modern book?
Listen, you can bring up Joseph Smith to the cow come on. I don't know nothing about. He was a Mason. He was a Satanist. He was a deceiver, just like all the Western world Christian churches.
And what's the difference, though? What's the difference? You're bringing up a revelation. You're bringing up a modern-day revelation, and you reject the modern-day revelation of the Mormons. So why should I listen to your guy when you reject another prophet? Y'all are the same.
Don't have to listen. I'm just bringing forth the truth. You asked me a question and I answered it. But going back to my original premise, according to the Bible, you made some statements that was incorrect, and I'm going to prove those statements were incorrect right now. But I'm saying, is that the best you could do is the book about Timbuktu, for Babylon to Timbuktu? That's your history of all that stuff that you said about South America? I'm about to bring it. It's up to you. Do you want to hear it, or do you want to yield, or you want to go to your show? What do you want to do?
I would like for you to just answer that simple question without having to go into a 10-minute dissertation every time.
Well, I see you stuck around, so just stick around. I'm going to finish my points here. Now, when you go into the scriptures the brother mentioned earlier. Now, I just went into Deuteronomy 28:46 to show you that those curses would be on God's seed forever. So just
what chapter? What chapter?
Deuteronomy 28 and 46. All right. So I went there to show you that these curses would be a sign and a wonder. So you will be able to identify God's people as a sign by the curses written of in Deuteronomy, the 20th chapter. Even though they lost
I thought you said the way we're going to identify is we have to go to your book, Babylon, from Babylon to Timbuktu. Now you just changed your position.
If you interrupt me one more time, sir, I'm going to have to end this call with you. It's up to you.
Okay, that's going to be the way it'll go then. Is you couldn't handle my questions because I'm showing already you didn't know about the registry. That was new to you. Then I asked you to prove how you came into existence, how you come up with all this argumentation. You said you just really boasted about this book from Babylon to Timbuktu. Well, I happen to know about that book, and it is a very modern book. And now you're trying to go back to the Bible and prove by Deuteronomy 28, and you know you can't do that. That's why you brought up Babylon to Timbuktu.
No. Let me come in here. I don't know. Maybe I don't know, Johnny. I don't know if you're hearing a different conversation or what though. But you asked a question about history. What books? Because all the books are Roman Catholic books, and then you were told Babylon to Timbuktu. Then you were the one that rejected that. You understand me? But
okay, it's not a history book. It's not a history book.
Hold up. Listen, from the beginning, it was done. Let me finish. From the beginning, the conversation was done in the Bible. Now, you are the one that's not accepting biblical understanding. You understand me? You're the one.
I did not understand Deuteronomy 28 the way he interpreted it.
The question that you asked beforehand, and I know I shouldn't really be coming in like this, but I think that you're not hearing. Maybe you're not hearing what's going on. You asked for proof. The proof was in Jeremiah 17:4. That is why there was no register. That's why we can't use a registrar anymore. Why? Because we lost our heritage. Slaves cannot identify themselves. Why? Because they lost their heritage. They started to follow.
No, that's not true. That is not true, though. I already answered that. Matthew 24 is the reason why they can't, is because the registry has been destroyed.
Exactly. So listen. So I'm asking you, can slaves follow a history that's been destroyed? Jeremiah 17 says, you will. As a matter of fact, let me not paraphrase it. Let me read it. Okay? Jeremiah, the 17th chapter and the 4th verse. Okay? Jeremiah 17:4. This is when your question got answered. It says, and thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in a land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. So that is what answered the questions why we cannot no more go to our...
No, it did not. No, it did not. If you would read the context, their heritage was their land. They were going to lose the land that had been promised, and they were going to go into Babylon captivity for 70 years.
Johnny, you sound like a politician about context. All right? Listen.
I like context. The context keeps you from just taking verses out when people don't know the verse. I already know about Deuteronomy. I know Jeremiah 37.
Jeremiah 17. Listen. And I'm saying to you, why I'm coming in now is because you keep interrupting when Elder Rakar is speaking, and I'm saying that we can't have it like that. You understand me? Now, if you're sticking around to let us bring forth the understanding, we can do it, but we can't argue here and go, and throw things in and go off the topic. You understand me? So let's just keep it.
Look, this is the issue. Listen, I'm going to make my say here. I'm going to make my say.
Johnny, I'm speaking. When I'm speaking,
listen, listen, just because you have the broadcast, if you want somebody to be on, then you're going to have to be courteous too. If you want people to come on your broadcast, you're going to have to let them at least get a sentence in. And I can keep talking just like you do.
Listen, I can just turn your mic off. Let me speak. When I'm speaking, you let me speak, okay? Then I'll let you come in. Don't interrupt me.
Now, that's not what I agreed to. That is not what I agreed to. No one said we were having formal speeches here.
Hey, listen. When you were speaking, I allowed you to speak. You understand me?
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You all have not allowed me to speak. You basically like to interrupt when I'm refuting something that you say.
And I'm saying to you that I am saying to you, we did not do no such thing, and it's on record. Everyone can hear it. Everybody,
They can hear it. They can hear. They can hear that you all don't like to be answered.
I've given you an opportunity to speak. What you're doing is going all over the show and jumping from here, there, and everywhere.
No, that's not the case. That's not the case.
You're not sticking to the
point.
That's
not the case.
Listen.
No, that's not the case either. I am sticking to the point.
Are you sticking to the point?
I'm sticking to the point. The point was history.
So let's stick to
the point was history. Was the point history?
Let's stick to the point.
Was the point history?
No, you asked for historical proof. Did you not?
I asked for a history book. I said, call out the book. Babylon to Timbuktu is not a history book.
Okay. And I'm saying to you that, listen, you asked for it and you received it. Now, if you don't want to accept it, that's up to you. You understand?
Okay, and that's my point. That's my point. I brought up. No, so you don't want to let me talk. You want to keep talking, and you don't want to let me get my words in because you know that the audience can tell that I'm answering you.
What
my answer was Joseph Smith is a modern-day prophet, and you reject him. I reject the prophet from Babylon to Timbuktu. It is not a historical document.
Okay, I'm going to bring Elder Rakar back in. Elder Rakar, are you there?
Yes, I'm back in, brother.
Can you hear? Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say this. Let me just keep on going to the next point. All right. Something was mentioned. Matter of fact, let's go back to Romans, where he was in Romans 9.
Okay, guys, I'm going to have to move along. You can tune into my broadcast tonight if you like.
Okay, I'll tune into it, brother, and if you want, we'll come to it. All right?
And what we will do is we'll have conversation rather than one person taking off for 10 minutes every time anything is said. All right, thank you for letting me on.
I'll stay with you a little later, brother. Bless you. You have a nice show, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right. Well, we thank the brother for coming on here. But I wanted to show, brothers and sisters, how there's infighting amongst all Christians, and all of them are incorrect. Every last one of them. Because you cannot claim that you are a Christian and don't have no connection to the people whom Christ came out of and don't even know who they are. And then uphold Khazars over in the land who went into the land in 1948 on a bogus war that the Zionists created as a pretext for them to destroy the Middle East. Those were atheists that went over into that land, and they lied to Christians in America, making you believe that you were actually supporting some people who were fulfilling Bible prophecy. Those were not the people that would go into the land. Christ would bring the children of Israel back into the land that's desolate, all right, not the UN. Okay, so going back to the original premise, this brother made some points, and it's like a talking point for all Christians to teach that Israelites are done away with, and now the church is God's people, which is not in doctrine. And you notice they go into the misunderstanding of some of Paul's writing and ignore Christ altogether when they're bringing that talking point. Why? Paul's writings are hard for the unlearned to be understood. You have to know the proper context in which Paul was writing to understand it. So what did the Jesuits do? They shaped their false doctrine on the misunderstanding of Paul's writings. Paul never rejected Israelites. A matter of fact, you see, he totally went away from Romans 11, because my question would have been to him, Johnny, please give us an example of the Gentiles boasting against the natural branches. Give an example of the Gentiles boasting against the natural branches. Because Paul said don't do that. And if you do that, you'll be destroyed. Now, of course, Paul told you in Romans 11 what the boasting is. They will say that the natural branches was cut off so that the Gentiles could be grafted in. That's boasting. You're saying it doesn't matter about the people who actually received the law, statutes, and commandments of God. The people whom Christ, Joseph, Paul, all the disciples came out of. So how can you Gentiles now stand up as an authority of the book over God's people by telling them that God's people don't matter? Now, but I want to go back to Romans 9 because I mean, he totally jumped over some good stuff in Romans 9 and said, well, that was the key scripture that all Israel is not in.